And so today's seminar is about authorship and mental health, because when we're looking at writing a book, or we're using writing as a healing modality, that we get quite a bit of, here's Jamaica. There's quite a few issues that we face. So I will introduce myself, and then I'll hand over to Bhavna, who will introduce herself. And then you'll hopefully understand why the two of us have come together. Other than the fact that we both love tea, it seems to be the magic potion of everything. And then what we'll do is we'll dive into the subjects that about not just mental health, but also mindset around mental health. And so I will start by introducing myself now. I am I'm sorry, I've just they said I'm still not working, because I read the message from Jamaica, but I am working, I think. So having been an author coach for quite some time and being a writer myself, I'm blessed to have 21 books to my name. And I have traveled around the world researching human rights, social justice, trauma, and social issues that relate to migration, as well as human trafficking. And I write content that means I have to really make sure that my mind is in a very good place, and coaching other people and hearing their stories. I've been a coach for over 21 years, for say 21 years. I think I'm still stuck in 21 years, almost 26 years now. I'm in denial, obviously, with those last 5 years. And one of the things that I realized for a lot of authors is the overwhelm, the fear of putting their story out there, the fear of judgment, the imposter syndrome, that little child that's within them that is stopping them from moving forward into the areas of success that they want to be in. But I also will work with people on developing their leadership skills and getting the books published. And I am very passionate about making sure that mental health is key to everything that I do. And so I've invited Bhavna to join my team as somebody who will take care of certain issues that when I'm working with my clients on a one-to-one basis, they're actually supported in ways that I cannot help them, because I'm not a qualified psychotherapist. I'm not a qualified counselor. I am an author coach who's gone through trauma, who has gone through the writing process on a number of levels. I've been writing for over all my life, basically. Well, as soon as I could hold the pen, I've been writing. I've worked through many different areas, whether it was newspaper, business articles. I've written for magazines around the world. I've written promotional copy, academic papers, speeches, books, you name it. If it needed writing, I've written it. And it's not always very easy to convey trauma and upset in the words. So we obviously have to be very careful when what we're writing and how the reader receives it. So I've joined forces with Bhavna to actually help people with their mental health when it comes to areas that I cannot and should not. And I want to make that very clear, that should not, that I should not be going into because of the lack of qualifications I've got in certain healthcare areas. So that's me. I love drinking tea. I've got a fur baby called Chewy, who is the Chief Mental Health Officer of my company. And if you're on a call with me, she normally joins me. And mother of 2 and lover of the ocean. So that's kind of me in a nutshell, really. I'm going to hand over to Bhavna for her to introduce herself. And you'll start to notice Khalid will be posting little messages in the chat for links that we might mention, as well as any other bits and bobs. Jamaica's in the library. In the lobby. Sorry, Jamaica. Gosh. So over to you, Bhavna.
Oh, wonderful. Good afternoon, everyone. So, as Dawn said, I'm accredited qualified psychologist, is my main area. It's 30 years now in education. And
I'm losing you, Bhavna. Can you come closer to the microphone?
Oh goodness, I'm so sorry about the mic, guys. My laptop died. This is emergency backup. And I don't normally shout, so please keep reminding me if you can't hear me. Okay, and if you can, please turn the closed captions on so that you don't miss anything we're saying. So my background is in psychotherapy and education. I am passionate about teaching people everything about self-care, you know, because we all have journeys, we all have our experiences, and as Dawn said, you know, trauma and so on and so forth. And my life has been dedicated to supporting my clients to overcome these traumas, to process them, and to reclaim their lives. You know, and I do that through coaching. I do that through my international keynotes. And as a member of the LGBTQ community and my own journey of coming out as an Indian woman, I'm very, very passionate about giving voices to people who are still closeted or who may be struggling, who may be from different cultures, who have a huge struggle with religion and colonialization. You know, so I've written for magazines as well. I've published my first book this summer called Driven, the audacity to thrive in entrepreneurship, because it is audacious for us, especially after COVID, you know, to have decided so many people to go into business for themselves. And unfortunately, people don't have the skills, business skills, to set up on their own and know what they need to do. So just like Dawn coaches authors, I coach and mentor entrepreneurs. I'm very keen to work with people on strengthening and empowering their mental health so that they can get that over and done with, so that they can get on with their lives and actually thrive and enjoy. You know, so as you were saying earlier, we deal with anxiety and depression and all of the things that I'm also a critical incident debriefer, so I go on site with organizations around the world and support them to support employees after a fatality or a terrorist experience like 9/11 or the London bombs. You know, so I'm happy to speak with absolutely anyone if you want to find out more. I know Khalid's got a list of links to share with you in due. So that's me.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Bhavna. Okay, so as you noticed that when you joined us, this was about authorship and mental health, and some of the things that a lot of authors struggle with, well, people in the publishing industry, I mean, there's 86% of burnout and mental health issues within the publishing industry. And that doesn't just cover the authors themselves. That is the teams that are putting the books together, because we do have a lot of deadlines. And one of the things that a lot of people do not comprehend, and it's something that I deal with my clients, is the timing issues of things, especially around holiday seasons, and because we're so different in a lot of ways to a lot of other businesses, because in January we don't do anything a lot of the time, because building up to Christmas, we've got all of the Christmas, well, when I say Christmas, when we're coming up to December, we have a lot of the summer holidays. If you're in the southern hemisphere, in the northern hemisphere, you have like the winter months, and you've got like the rush up for Christmas. And then you've got the religious holidays, such as the Islamic holidays that move throughout the year. So it might be that if you're publishing a book that is based around religious holidays, you're having to adhere to those. And the world now is demanding a lot more from the books that people are buying, because what we're finding is that with the increase of self-publishing, there is a lot more books out there that are of a huge and deep quality, but they are overshadowed by the publishing giants who are also publishing. And when you are a self-published author and you're when you're an author and you're submitting your manuscript to a lot of publishers or agents and you're getting rejected over and over and over again, that can really diminish your self-worth. That can make you feel really bad about yourself. But before we even get to that point, you've got that writing journey. You've got that, is this idea that I have got any good? Will anybody buy it? Will it just be my mum and my nan that buys it? And you pour all of this time into researching your characters if you're writing fiction, or like the historical time or the region, or the settings, or the plausibility of science or politics in those characters' lives. But again, whether your character is of a fiction or a non-fiction basis, it's also doing that research to make sure that the characters of nonfiction, i.e., the subject matter, the whether it's a political figure, whether it's for example, a business process. This is what I mean by the characterization. With Bhavna's, it's like the audacity. So she'll be looking at the characters of her book will be certain aspects of what it is that she's writing about. So it could be something along the lines like the character would be self-belief, or the character would be the trauma, or the character would be the legislation. So when I refer to character, I actually mean the key aspects of that. When you're researching all of this, sometimes we get so caught up in the research because we're afraid that we've understood the research incorrectly. We're afraid that when we put it out there, you're going to have all of those lovely haters that come out in full force, the grammar police. You're going to have the critics, and you're probably not going to get the reviews. And if I don't get the reviews, I'm not successful. If it's not an overnight bestseller, I'm not successful. All of these come in at the very, very beginning of a writer's journey. And one of the things that I always suggest to my clients and those that I work with, as well as people that I meet on seminars, and I'm pretty sure that Bhavna is going to agree with me on this, is write those fears out. Purge them out of your system. And I would say, Bhavna, that you would agree that when we do that, we actually get them out of our head, out of our energetic field, and then we can alchemize them from pain into power, fear into courage. I mean, what are your thoughts on that there?
100%. And writing is one of the first exercises I offer all my clients, because we store our pains and all of the things that we experience as chemical signatures in ourselves. Okay. And writing, and I mean with an implement, okay, rather than on the keyboard, what that does is it allows us to organically process all of the things that we're going through into chemical signatures down our physiological body and into words that make sense to us. Okay, it's a phenomenal way of processing things in such a way, and this has been proven in the lab by Dr. James Pennebaker at the University of Texas at Austin. And, he has shown over and over again that PTSD can be healed in a matter of about 4 days by
Dr.
simply...
Bessel van der Kolk.
Oh, yes. Yes, love him. Okay, and Dr. Gabor Mate, they've all found that putting it down helps, because number one, it allows us to document what we've gone through, what we've experienced. It allows us individually to bear witness. Okay, because there may be experiences in people's lives where nobody believes them, or nobody has time for them, or people are saying, oh, just get over it, just sort it out. I had a couple of sessions this morning with 2 different clients who've experienced severe trauma, and both of their sets of friends are saying, well, Why don't you just sit and, sort it out? And they are not being understood.
Mm.
Okay. So writing helps us hold space and bear witness to what we've experienced, and to very gently and safely start to process.
I often say that one of my hoodies actually says my voice is louder when I write. Because one of the things that happens when we go through this writing process is that when we clarify our thoughts, we're getting it down and we're actually giving space in our head for other things to come. It's like, the sooner I drink this water, the more I can put fresh lot in, or the sooner I can put a fresh lot in. And then that's the thing, when we think about pain or PTSD or trauma, we can actually get it out of us and we get it down. And um, one of the key things that I've always said, because being an author activist, and I don't just mean somebody who is fighting for authors or being an advocate for author voices within the publishing world, but I'm talking about writing books on activism and social justice issues, is that when we're writing and we have a set of beliefs around something, when we're writing them down, if we're doing a good job, then what we're finding is we get challenged by a certain belief that we have, because it's like, oh, if I'm going to write that, and comes from self-awareness as well, which some people don't have. But when we're writing down our belief systems, we're like, okay, if I'm going to write that down and say that about this aspect of life, or about this group of people, or about this situation, if I take that logic and apply it to something else, do my values and my beliefs and my morals still stand up? If I want freedom for myself and I want to be treated with respect, where am I harboring a resentment or a misaligned value to somebody else's freedom and their rights to be who they are? And this is something that when we start writing things down, we actually can heal our own values and beliefs, or elevate them. I like to say elevate them, because we're leaving the pressures that we've been borrowing a lot of the time from parents, from society. We're alleviating ourselves from them. We're getting rid of them. And so when we write things down and we look at our fears and we look at what's holding us back and what we're worrying about, or we're looking at the things that are coming, what is it that's really underneath this? Why do I keep thinking about this? What is it that's there? What is it that's knocking on that door? Because the thing is, when we have these things knocking on the door, or someone came to the door and we didn't answer the door, why did we not answer that door? But the emotions that keep coming up for us around certain subjects in our lives, if we're not acknowledging them, and one of the things that I would also like to share with people when they work with me, or when I'm on stage, or when I'm here on, whether it's a virtual stage or whether it's an actual stage, is that when we get triggered by something, or we're offended by something that somebody else says, and we do not look within us, if we just react, if we just attack, that's coming from a trauma response. And if we, a couple of other things that I have on hoodies is I come with a trigger warning and prepare to be offended. Because we do live in a world where people are choosing to take offense. They are choosing to be triggered because they are not choosing, whether it's unconscious or whether it's on a conscious level, they're doing it because there is unresolved trauma within their body. Now, that trauma could have come through the birth canal, could have been just coming through the birth canal. It could have been something like a cat dying. It could have been watching someone fall over in the street. It could have been grief of a lost parent or a sibling or a friend. It could have been a teacher humiliating you in school. I remember recently I did a post on LinkedIn saying, if you do not enjoy reading, you're probably traumatized by your teacher at school. And a lot of my posts don't get a lot of engagement. They get a lot of engagement in the DM because people are afraid to engage with a lot of things that I say. This one particular chap, he messaged me. He goes, "Oh, your post last week," and I was like, "Which one?" Quick scroll back through my mind. He said, "When you said if I don't enjoy reading, there's something about my teacher at school." And I thought it was interesting word choice because he said, "If I don't enjoy reading and my teacher," he'd internalized it so much, and now he's an avid reader. Whereas some people, as a teacher, reading that, a teacher might have taken offense to that because they would have believed that I was attacking a teacher. So when we're writing our views or when we're putting our messages out there, we are going to face people that are going to attack us, or they're going to give us negative reviews, or they haven't got anything better to do with their lives because of a certain situation. And again, it's all around that, isn't it, Bhavna, where people that are willing to attack others online because they haven't got anything better to do, because they can't see potential for themselves. They're kind of stuck in a place. I mean, what would you speak to that about?
Oh my goodness me. I'm nodding away furiously, and I agree with everything you've said, because we are working from an operating system that we did not do. Okay, this is so important to take on board, whether we're working with ourselves or with other people. When we see behaviors coming forward, they're being programmed and let out by an operating system that was programmed by your culture, by your parents, by your aunts, uncles, etc., by society, by religion, by history. All right, we just have to switch the TV on at the moment and look at all of the rhetoric going on across the pond in the States around the elections and the racism and the horror that we're witnessing. That didn't just come out today. That's been festering away like crazy, for generations. This is generational trauma. And one reference I would give you is a phenomenal book for both of you, Jamina and you, called It Didn't Start With You by Dr. Mark Bollin. Okay, it's a phenomenal, eye-opening book because, Don, you mentioned about trauma from the birthing process. But we are made up of the genetic material of our parents, who are made up of their grandparents, and so on and so forth. And the generational trauma continues. Okay. And it's just so very important to acknowledge and identify and realize that we may be walking around with, okay. And part of the process through writing specifically is the ability to self-advocate. Okay, and we can't self-advocate, and think about the trolls that we just talked about. They can't self-advocate in person, so they have to hide behind their closed little accounts and do what they do. But by doing that, they're betraying themselves. Okay, and part of my work is to look at how are you betraying yourself? In what ways are you betraying yourself? And how on earth can we start the process of healing? And part of that is through bearing witness and self-advocacy. Okay, and we go from reacting and we alchemize it, to use Dawn's word, into responding, because power is. Okay, and working with mental health and working with young people, they don't know how to respond because nobody's often had the time or patience or energy or awareness to sit with them and say, baby, how about we hold space for the anger what does that anger mean? What is it saying? What does that anger, he, she, or they, what does it need from this moment? And we teach our clients to hold space for that part of them. And I do a lovely exercise that I love called Sankofa, which comes from the Ghanaian ritual of going back to our ancestors. Okay, I was born in Tanzania, so I'm East African, so I'm very much into bringing world rituals into my practice, because we are not all Eurocentric. Okay, so my work decolonizes our mental health, and we use things that are rich within our multiple global cultures to help us as a human being within the human species. We are all one at the end of the day. Okay?
We
So,
are.
just finally to your point, I've lost you.
No, you're back. We lost you.
Okay.
Now
So finally, literally, you mentioned about education. Okay. When I talk about writing to some clients of an older generation, and when I'm, waving my flag, they actually get traumatized. Okay, because, for example, my left-handed clients, they were beaten. They had trauma on their hands because it was seen as mental
defect.
illness, a defect to write with your left hand. So they were forced to write with the right hand. Okay, ink stains in your pockets. You were beaten for not being careful, but it's not your fault that your pen burnt. Right? So, we need to be aware of what's going on before we ask clients exactly what's going, where does it come from? Where is the seed? What is the root? Before we can yank it out and, prepare that soil and make, heal. It's about.
And I think you touched on some really great points there, Bhavna, because, there has been a system of indoctrination of ideas and what is right and what is wrong and what is normal and what is a defect and what is allowed and what is perceived and what is permitted. And I know that Jamaica just raised some very powerful point there about, what happens to us or for us. And when we're looking at the 4 levels of ascension, we're the divine one, which is something that, if we can get to that point, then amazing. But when we look at what happened to us, we put ourselves in a victim mode and we operate from that space. When we look at this happened for us, then we're in an ego mode. But with that ego, what it's allowing us to do is go, actually, what can I take from this? What lessons did I learn this? Why did this happen for me? So that I can step into learning and alchemizing and, gifting back the knowledge that I have learned from this experience. And then we step into this happens through me. So this is when we're actually in that surrender process, when we've alchemized everything and we're going, okay, this is now happening through me. So when I'm working with, or I'm writing my books, like I've taken all of the pain and the trauma that I have been through. And I know that had I not have had the modality of writing, as you'll see, like sometimes I'm looking down even on this call, I'm a note taker, so I don't miss anything. And sometimes, when people see someone looking down and not paying attention to the other speaker, they're like, well, they're being ever so rude, they're not paying attention. But I'm actually paying a lot of attention because I'm making notes about what Jamaica is saying. I'm making notes on what you're saying or you're sharing and what Khaled is sharing. And you're being very quiet, but that's great. You're actively listening. Excuse me 1 second. But one of the things that I've always said to people is the system is not broken. The system is working exactly how it has been designed to work, to keep us in fear, to keep us in poverty, to keep us ill and sick, and to keep us questioning our own self-worth. And it's when I work with my activist clients, because I call myself an author activist, because an activism or an activist is an active idea. An ism is an idea. And some people are really triggered by the word activist. They much prefer change maker or an advocate or influencer, because those words are softer for them. Because it might have been that they had people, for example, I was at an event at recently on disinformation, the spreading of disinformation, and I asked a question, and the lady who was presenting came back and spoke to a subject, and then I said, but there you had an unbalanced presentation of the information that you shared. You did not go to the other side and ask them their views and their experience. And because I mentioned this particular topic after this lady had shared, there were some activists in the audience that I didn't know about, and all of a sudden they sprang out and started shouting and screaming and, you know, really making a nuisance of them and talking over the other speakers. That kind of activism is not helpful for the people in the audience. And what we tend to find is when that kind of mindless activism happens, anybody who was right on that cusp of supporting an idea or supporting a group of people that need that support, when you have that kind of activism, they fall back, and the people are just like, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be part of that conversation. And that's how voices get shut down. That is how women who have been traumatized through sexual assault, or when immigration issues have happened, like people have been escaping their countries through economic, there might be economic migrants, there might be people who have escaped civil war or genocide or any other really harrowing experience. It might have been a natural disaster that they're running from, and they might have lost absolutely everything to arrive in a new country and then have people that are not welcoming. And so again, it's like activism could be a lot of create a lot of triggers for a lot of people, but the system that we are all living within, whether those of us who like to think we're not living in a system, we are living in the system. We might not be down that, we might not be down as deep in the programming of the system. I mean, I'm thinking Matrix of a way to explain it. You know, are we Neo or are we Mr. Smith, or are we Trinity? Depends on, you know, which outfit you like best and who's got the best moves, I guess. But when we are looking at things objectively, we're actually healing ourselves, and we're actually stepping out of those trauma moments or that PTSD. And as somebody who does suffer from PTSD, I can smell something and I'm right back there. I can hear a ringtone and I'm right back there. When I worked with immigration, we were told to change our mobile phone ringtones to anything but a particular set of ringtones, because if we're in that space, and one of the people that we were working with heard that ringtone, that could be a really massive trigger, and it could undo lots of years of work that that person has done, and it can just send them back. And this is when we're looking at what's on around the world. You know, like Bhavna was saying, people don't like to write anymore. We're losing the art of handwriting. People are just typing on their laptops or they're typing on their phones. And that's actually robbing us from a deeper level of healing. I mean, I don't know whether you can speak to that, Bhavna, on a neurological level, but the healing process we go through when we do write with a pen onto paper, or with a pencil onto paper, the healing level is so much deeper because it's slower. And that's why books have the power to heal the world, because we read slower and our brains are not being distorted by all the frequencies of light and technology. I'm going to pass back to you because I know that I could go on about this a lot.
It's such a profoundly important topic. You know, goodness me, we could talk about this 24/7 for a month and yet just scratch the surface, right? you know, if you let's just go back for a second to the last century and the century before. You know, Thoreau, Emerson, all of the greats, Rabindranath Tagore. Okay, they didn't have this distraction from keyboards and doom scrolling. They had their parchments and their quills and their inks and their thoughts. It starts here, cognitive. Okay, whatever you think you are, whatever we think we are. If you think you're a victim, yes, you are. If you think you're a winner, yes, you are. Okay, it begins with us. We are the catalyst. All right, we may react to external stimuli as a result of what we've experienced, as a result of our journey. Okay, but by reacting, what we're doing is we're being held hostage. Okay, but coming back to writing, you know, again, this is why I go on journaling like a crazy person, because it works, because neurologically it's changing your brain structure. Okay, you know, there are jokes about people who don't write and engage and so on having smoother brains than the people that do engage and write and so on. Okay, and there is some truth in that. If you look at brain studies, you know, psychoneurobiology, it is a delicious subject because it allows you to look at how phenomenal this thing between our ears is. And the fact that we're only using, what, 10%, 9 or 10% of its full capacity, right?
Well,
So
it depends on a number of factors, but yes.
That's it. That's it. Okay. So it's really, really important that we turn to ourselves as the source of the, because we have got all the answers, we just have to find them. And the way we find them is through processing all of the barriers and going through all of the doors and all of the levels. Okay, we can't go to level 10 without having gone through 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it's not going to.
Because if we haven't dealt with one of those levels, that's going to be the thing that trips us up and brings us back. And I wanted to raise a point that I think that Jamaica raised about anger, and I know that you extrapolated on that, Bhavna. Anger is always the second or third emotion that we experience, and it happens instantaneously. And it might be that fear is the first one. It might be frustration. It might be rejection. It might be confusion, but anger
Sadness.
is always, yeah, it could be sadness, it could be so many different ones, and then they're layering, and then the anger is going to come in. And so, and one of the things that I do believe is quite powerful when we're doing the journaling process is actually get a journal worthy of our lives. And because that is what we're doing, we're alchemizing everything, our pain into power, our fear into courage, our negatives into positivity. And if we're just using, I've got a Cardiff Business School notepad here, for making all of my notes. And because I'm dealing with business, I'm actually doing it here. And then I've got beautiful, you've got some flowers on. I've got this really soft gray journal that's hardback, and it's got a phoenix on the front, so I'm alchemizing through the fire. And another one that I've got here is another hardback one that is, it's got the thing here with a gold thread line. Both of them are lined. And I'm going through them, and one of them is my gratitude journal, one of them is my business journal, and I keep them separate, because one of the things that when we're doing this and we're keeping them separate, we can actually go a lot deeper. And although when we go back through, say, for example, the personal one, the personal gratitude journal, and this is something that when people jump on a call, we're doing, what is possible? What can I do as an author? How can I get, how can I work through this as a writer? What kind of book can I write? Because the people that I work with, They are people that want to make change in the world. They are the people that want to take their expertise and actually say, these are some of the case studies. These are the things that I'm seeing in my industry. These are the things I want to make a difference to. Or they're the people that, like Bhavna and I have said, we could go on about this for absolutely ages. If we'll probably be here at midnight discussing, although we won't because I've got meetings after this. But when we're looking at what's going on for us, and we've cleared off that scum off the top, we've cleared off that fear off the top, that doubt, because we've got a lot of people in business operating from a fear of a 6-year-old. And we've got people that are hiding behind their business brand because it's easier for them to write about business. It's easier for them to talk about their career and their industry rather than talk about the thing that they're passionate about. And one of the things I mentioned at about halfway through this session was that some of my posts, they don't get much public engagement because people are afraid they're going to lose clients, they're going to upset staff members, that they're going to lose their job, or they're going to lose friends. And when we are living in that fear, that is actually spiking cortisol and adrenal hormones within us and actually poisoning our body. So getting all of that out and saying, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I stand for. And when we're journaling and we're writing, again, like I said, when we're writing a book, we're actually aligning our value system, we're aligning our beliefs and our morals. And if we have a religious belief that actually goes against something like a social narrative or a government agenda, and we're being told, no, you're not allowed to have that religious belief, or you're not allowed to practice your faith or be who you truly wish to be, or you're not allowed to actually question the government on whether it's financing, whether it's healthcare, whether it is education. When you question that, you're actually stepping into a level of courage that you innately have, that you've allowed to have pushed down and silenced. And one of the things I love to do is actually work with people to bring that courage out of them and say, right, your voice matters. You matter. Your experiences in life matter. Do not allow somebody to shut you down. Do not allow somebody to tell you that they're more important than you are. And you have this voice and this life for a reason, and you've been through this for a reason. Now let's channel it through you so that your pain and the power that you've alchemized can actually help somebody else stop suffering. And this is why I say that books have the power to heal the world, because whether the writer is healing as they're writing, and then they've created something that the reader can use, because not everybody can afford therapy, not everybody can afford coaching. Some people haven't got the luxury of time to afford to wait for the healthcare systems to actually provide them with the therapy and the counseling that they need, and that could be fatal. So making sure that we write these books to actually give them that knowledge and that healing tool for about $20, $30 maybe, or pounds, that could save a life.
Right. And forgive me for interrupting you. That is why I wrote my book.
Mm.
I'm
glad to hear it.
Like I said, 30 years of my experience working with 20,000 plus clients individually, and my speaking engagements with tens of thousands of employees. Okay, to say, look, this is about reconnecting with ourselves, because as humanity, we are so disconnected. And I think, Jamika, you asked earlier, how have we gotten to this place, if I'm not wrong? It's because we've become disconnected from ourselves. We've become disconnected, or our values have become challenged and diluted, right? I'm a very outspoken person because I'm secure in myself and in my values, okay? I'm very much for justice. And, you mentioned anger, Dawn. Anger shows up when there's injustice in the world. Yeah, it's like, no, 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 not in my time frame, not in my presence, and not in my, okay. But as girls, as good little girls, we are taught not to feel angry, not to connect with anger, because it's not ladylike, darling, right? But it's a natural emotion that we need to connect with because it's healing. It's like a stop sign at a junction telling us we need to stop because there may be danger.
Mm. It's
Okay.
interesting you say there about stop sign. I've just written down not getting ideas above our station. I heard that
Amen.
a lot growing up, and you know the fact that we, I mean, I'm very conscious of time. We've come to the top of the hour. I'd like to wrap this up, and I know that we've just mentioned about the fatality and like the healing tools. There's three books that I can think, four books that I can think of now. There's the Tough to Talk book that I've just done about raising awareness of men's mental health and you know, helping to prevent suicide. There's the Alive to Thrive book that I did with another lady called Debbie that was all about women's depression that led to attempted suicide and how they went on. Thankfully, they're all still here and they went on to thrive. You've written your book there, Bhavna, and then we've got Amanda Denham, who's one of my authors, who wrote a book about teenage mental health issues. And then there is the menopause book that women are experiencing some really challenging things at the moment, and you know they're being medicated beyond what's necessary a lot of the time with HRT. Now it works for some people if it's administered properly, but for others they don't want to go down that route. They want to look at food, they want to look at exercise. Women that have been sexually assaulted actually experience worse menopause symptoms. And it's all of these pressures that we've had placed upon us that we've actually embodied and we've allowed ourselves to continue to carry. And you know, and it creates all of these pressures. And then when we write the book there, I mean, I focus on writing the books, and in my 7-week author course, you know, I actually work people through it. And some people have said to me, oh, that really needs to be like just one course, you know, they have to do it all 7 modules at the time. I'm like, you know what, no, I don't want my 7-week author course to be like that. I want people to do each module as and when it feels right for them, as and when they have the money to do it. Yes, they can do it modular and pay for it as and when. Yes, they can do it all in 7 weeks, bam, 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 and pay one price. But they can also come and join me in a very small group, because some people, they don't like doing it by themselves. They want to be in a community where they've got accountability and the diversity of others. And they've got that community to go, you know, I need help with this. And and then one of the things that we can do when we're doing that, and one of the things I cover is all of this pressure that you have to be a bestseller, or you've got to be a boss, or you've got to be this person, you've got to have this label. And all of these things have been put on us as pressures from society. And it's about, you know what, this is not my pressure. This is not my return to sender. And I always
Amen.
say this, those words, return to sender, it's not mine. Return it
Yeah.
from whence it came. And I think
Amen.
that, I mean, I can see that you're agreeing. But yeah, if there's any pressures that you're feeling on yourself, or something that somebody is putting upon you, just say, it's not mine. I don't want to wear this outfit. I'm not going to wear, I mean, no offense to Bhavna's shirt today, it's a bit too colorful for me. It would clash with my hair. Looks fabulous on her. I can admire it, but I'm not
Yeah.
going to wear it. And that's thing, it's not mine. You can have that back, Bhavna. Thanks for the loan of it. But again, and if we start looking at these pressures from society and these ideas, it's not mine. I don't agree. I don't subscribe. Return to sender. Thank you very much.
Yeah. It won't fit me. It doesn't
Yeah.
fit me.
It
You
doesn't
know,
fit me.
it's not
Exactly.
right. Because if you're trying to shove something of yours upon my person in any way, shape, or form, let it be known that there will be pushback.
Yeah.
And you may not like it.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, can I share one song that, you know, the soundtracks of our lives? One song that is so powerful. It's by Charlene, called I've Never Been to Me. Okay.
Okay.
And it was literally a hit, one hit wonder. But it's such a profound song. If you listen to it, it's everything that we've been talking about today.
I've never been to Maine.
Me.
I've never
Never
been
been to
to
me.
me. I've
Yeah.
never been to
Hey!
me. Check Khalid out. He's on the ball, this man. Good on
And
you.
like, she,
Thank goodness for the digital natives in the world.
amen, amen. But she talks about, I've been to paradise. I've been kings and all of this. It, but I've never been to me. It's a lament of
Mm,
herself as and that I've been everywhere, but
beautiful.
I haven't. Okay. And what I want to say is, let's have the courage to show. Let's have the courage to, write our futures, because when we write, we're actually creating a blueprint of how we want life to be.
There we are.
Right? We've done the archaeological digs of the ruins and how things were. And now we've got this space. What kind of institution or space do you want to build? What kind of castle do you want to build? And before we can do that, we need to create a very solid, stable foundation.
Mm,
Very, very stable foundation that nobody and nothing can rock.
mm.
Okay. And then every single brick you put there with an intention. Right. And yeah, let's turn to the Bible for a second. It starts with, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Right. And it's like that the Word, journaling, writing, documenting, yeah, sowing into our future. Words,
It's
right?
actually interesting you say that, because at the beginning of the Quran, the very first word of the Quran is Iqra, which means to read. And the second most used word in the Quran after Allah is ilm, which means wisdom. It's before prayer, it's before charity, it's about reading for wisdom. And we make sense of life through words. And whether you are somebody that believes in an organized religion, or whether you're spiritual or into science, I mean, I say GUS, God, universe, and source. It covers all bases. It's like I was saying to you, Bhavna, I call the letters community because then I'm all up to date. And if they add letters or take them away, then I'm not gonna, and then someone said, well, actually, you're now going to have to add numbers, because the letters and numbers communities, because we're adding digits, and I'm like, oh my God, now maths really confuses me anyway. But but again, it's like we can all come together, and we can all be, like with Jamaica, I don't know if she knows, but her name, the root of her name, um, if it's the root word that I'm thinking, the word Jamaica comes from the Arabic word Juma, and Jama is from oneness, which is why they call it Jama prayer in Islam. And I speak Arabic, and so I love languages. And so again, Jamaica is Jameh. Uh, and it was just, oh, thank you, Jamaica. And again, it's like when you actually look at the words we're using, like I said earlier, we're elevating, we're alleviating, we're removing, and words matter. And when I've always said to my niece and my nephew, the nephew, he would go, I can't do it, Auntie Dawn. And I'm like, you can't do it yet. You
Yes.
haven't achieved it yet. And just those three little words. And when I was a teacher in Egypt, I actually taught my children, small differences make a profound difference. So, for example, and so I was trying to get them to be healthy. I was getting them to be healthy, and so I wrote fit and fat on the board, and I said, well, I put fat and then fit. I said, if we just change this one letter in the middle from an A to an I, and we become fat, then we get fit. Or if you have got pat or put, and and just these small words, just these small differences that we make in our life and the words that we use, then we can change the world. And I really do want to be respectful of time. I know that we started past the hour. So I am going to say, I could, like we've said, we could go on and on and on and on about writing and words. And I'm a book nerd, and my whole dream when I was little was I want to get paid to read and write books. And here I am, like, oh my gosh, I'm living it, which I'm so, so grateful for. But I would like to open it up to both Jamal, sorry, I've just said Jamal now, look, to Jamika and you, to see if there's any questions that you would like us to answer directly, if you're in agreement with that, Bhavna.
Absolutely. I would love that. I would love that.
Yeah. So do you have any questions, Jamika, or you? You can come on screen, or you can just pop them into the chat. And I'm really
Oh, thank you so
so
much.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Yeah, it's very, how can I say, I would say I'm enlightened. Of course, I before this seminar, I thought writing could be an outlet for people to kind of release their emotions how can I say, into a media where they can let it go. Some of the, how can I say, negativity inside themselves. And now I feel like, after they pin down their thoughts, they can be helpful for people who are in a similar scenario. So I guess that's what Bhavna has been, stressing all along about writing down, pinning down.
Yeah,
So
write
thank
it
you so
down, get it
much.
out. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you've enjoyed it. Thank you for coming.
Oh, yes, I did. I do.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Oh,
No,
I'm
because the
so
thing
glad
is,
that it's confirming for you, Jamika.
it's so precious because when we write it down, we can actually make sense of it as well. We sort through rather than keeping it all up here. And it's like a flock of birds stuck in the
Yeah.
attic room, going round and round
Yeah.
and
But I
okay. And
think,
that's what causes overwhelm.
yeah. But I feel it's a little bit difficult though, for people who have depression, for example. It's even, how can I say, a major task for them to get out of bed. So,
Yeah,
for them to sit down and write something on their mind, write down those type of things, it's going to be difficult.
Hmm.
yeah. Please, could I suggest something?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
If you're able to encourage them to just grab a pen, okay, just grab a pen, and even if they want to scribble, just just
Yeah,
onto paper,
right,
because what organically happens is they make connection of, oh, I'm wasting paper, I'm what is this about, and then words will start coming.
right,
Okay, so the scribbling, the anger, it's moving energy within the physical body.
right.
Okay, and moving
Okay,
energy neurologically.
right.
Okay, so and then once you've got oh goodness me, there we go. Okay, once you've released that almost blockage, then the words will come and they tumble out. Okay, so it's think about a volcano. You have a tiny little vent and you get the steam coming out. Okay,
Right.
then you've got the explosion and the pyroclastic clouds going up and coming down. Then you've got the lava. Okay, so it really is powerful. Okay, and the thing is, with depression, it's a lot about anger. It's connected hugely to suppressed and repressed anger. Okay, again, think about your clients. Think about the messages they may have. Okay, depression, in my experience of working with 20,000 people, is to do more with anger than with clinical depression, with chemical imbalances. Okay,
Right.
because what happens, we feel anger. Society has told us we can't feel anger because it's wrong. So, you know, it comes down like a carpet press. All right. It doesn't distinguish between, okay, I don't want to repress joy, I don't want to repress excitement, I don't want to. It comes down like a carpet press and presses everything, depresses everything down. Okay. So it becomes like a blanket ban. And when you do the work with your clients and you start unraveling, you know, what the hell is going on, you'll find that there is, you know, one or two very significant issues that they're enraged about, but they can't express for whatever reason. And that's the process. So everything is depressed. And they become more and more overwhelmed, because if you're pressing everything down, you know.
This is one of the reasons why I say to people, don't swallow it down. Because when
Yes.
people are crying and they start to swallow, and like you're swallowing it back, allow it to come up, allow it to come up. And one of the things, and my youngest son, he says this to me, he goes, "Mother, breathe."
Yes.
Because I forget to breathe. And so, and I'm like, I
Yes.
wonder where that comes from. And is it because I'm a diver? And like the less I breathe, then the calmer I am underwater. And then someone said to me, "Yeah, but Dawn, you don't live underwater. That's okay when you're underwater, but when you're on land, breathe, woman." But one of the things I learned with Dr. Joe Dispenza is that when we actually do the deep breath work, we're actually getting off all of that static, stale breath that sits in the bottom of our diaphragm. And when we actually do the deep breath, we hold it and then we release it through our mouth. We're actually purging out all of that dead and old air that's actually just percolating. And this is why I love writing. I mean, you hit it right there, Bhavna, where getting all of those angry thoughts, just journaling, it doesn't even have to make sense. And I find that when I've not journaled, I get myself more worked up than ever. I mean, it might be some people love to go for a run. Some people might love to go and do mixed martial arts, because I know that helped me when I got divorced. I went and did mixed martial arts because it was a much healthier way of dealing with things. You know, some people love to bake, some people love to paint, some people love to draw or dance. And, you know, writing is my modality that I love to use. And I mean, someone asked me on a podcast recently, do you believe that everybody has a book in them? I was like, no, I believe everybody has a story in them, and they might want to express that through food or film or dance or paint or, you know, what photography. But I believe everyone has a story. I don't believe everybody has a book.
I imagine, I'm going to just very gently push back on that. I imagine everybody has a book for themselves. You know, something that they may want to document for themselves, their story, their journey, their, you know, whatever comes.
No, I agree with you on that, because some of my clients, their books will never see the light of day. And so this is the thing. So they will write it down, and when I'm working with them, they do write everything out. And it's probably one lady, her book is just all of her random thoughts and her diaries that she's publishing for her children and her great-grandchildren for when she's gone. That was her thing. Another lady wrote a book with me just to get rid of imposter syndrome and to invest. This is something very key for a lot of women, to invest that amount of money in herself, just purely for herself, not for the world, not for everybody to read it. So I agree with you. Yes, everyone does have a book in them, but is it going to get out into the world, I think, is what my so thank you for pushing back on that.
Absolutely. You was that enough for you? Do you have any?
Oh, I
think it's more than enough.
We nearly started another seminar.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're both
Right.
very, very welcome. Thank you both for coming along today. It's been lovely.
Okay, thank you for
Thank you.
organizing this and sharing your ideas. So as I say, I'm united. Hopefully I will, be able to use some of the techniques or the mindsets, to, how can I say, to help with my patients. Thank you a lot.
You're very welcome. And if you're on LinkedIn or on Instagram, do follow us. I don't know if you've got our links there, but we've got your, I believe that we've got your contact details. So if
Email.
it's okay
Yeah.
yeah, we've got your email. So we'll send those out as a thank you, and this recording to those that weren't able to make it with
Oh,
us
that's
today.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So
Thank you.
The thing I'll say to you, is practice on yourself. Practice on yourself. Go through the process of writing and journaling and documenting so that you can see what comes up. So when you're sitting with your clients, and Jamaica too, when you're sitting with your clients and they have reservations, you can say, actually, I've been through my own process. This is how it felt for me. So I wonder, please don't be scared. It's just a process. And the thing is, nothing that you have been through can hurt you anymore. You've already been through it. Right?
Yeah.
These are just echoes. These are just echoes of our memories to basically, and our memories are doing their job. Yeah, evolutionarily, they're doing their job to just keep us a little bit more alert to dangers for the next, so we don't get caught short.
it stops with us.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
And I'm so excited to hear. I mean, I would love to find out how this, when you go back to work and into your community there, Jamaica, and when you go into your studies, please do stay in touch with us and let us know how this is at, if and if there's anything we can do to help you, if we want either of us to come and speak at your place of work, then we'd be more than delighted to do that. I'm sure that I'm not just speaking for myself there, Bhavna. Any support that we can give you both for moving forward, then do let us know.
Okie dokie. Much appreciated.
Okey-dokey.
And wish both of
Very
you,
British.
all of you, have a nice day.
You too. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Ciao,
Thank you.
ciao.
Bye-bye then. Bye.
Bye-bye. And Jamaica, I can see. Thank you very much, Jamaica. I look forward to it very much so. But yes, thank you very, very much for being here. And yeah, thank you.